My guest today is Granit Dosh. He is the co-founder of Manaferra, a digital marketing agency that helps higher education institutions, publishers, and SaaS companies increase their traffic and leads. Thanks for having me being on the show today, Granit.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Good to be
so
here.
I'm so used to going on other people's shows that I forget sometimes that I'm now hosting my own. So tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, who you are, what got you into what you do today, and like a little bit background story.
Yeah, sure. So, uh, before considering myself an SEO, I would consider myself a web enthusiast. I got started and built my very first website at the age of 15, and it looked like magic to me. After that, I wanted to learn more about what can you do once you build those websites and once you put that content. How can you generate the visibility? And most importantly, at the time, for me, how you can make money out of it. And at the time, there were like social media wasn't that big actually as a traffic generator, and all those channels weren't working that well. So you either had to do spam, which took a lot of manual work, and I wasn't cut off for that, or learn to do SEO. Build a project, I guess beginner's luck. It crashed the servers for the traffic that it received, and from that, I realized that okay, this SEO thing works. Um, Co-founded Manaferra, a search marketing agency which is based in Pristina, Kosovo, 6 years ago. Initially, we were a digital marketing agency offering almost everything for the local market here, from SEO, web development, content marketing, social media, pay-per-click, everything. One mistake that we realized maybe a bit later than we should have is that the market wasn't mature enough for the service that we were offering. So we decided to do two drastic things. One, fire all the clients that we had in the local market, and two, remove almost all the services and only focus on SEO and web development as two main primary services that we were most comfortable with and that we felt we could deliver the best results and the best work on those two services. For the past 2.5 years, we've been working with the clients mostly in the United States. The sectors which we are working the most with are publishers, higher education, and SaaS companies. We have clients in the UK, Germany, Switzerland as well, but the majority and the focus for growth as an agency continues to be the States.
That's amazing. So it sounds like things have been going really well for the last 6 years. So can you take us, the listeners, back on the journey that got you to where you are, or before you even started the company? So your schooling or your upbringing, did you want to do like this SEO digital marketing thing before that? Like, what did you do going to school? What was your, specialty at that time?
So my work experience is very limited outside of SEO and actually just building stuff on the web and doing marketing to it to promote it. I tried to get my bachelor's degree, started going to the lectures, and I was listening to professors talking about things. They didn't have any experience because they didn't do it. They just read about them and they were lecturing to others. And I decided early on that I'm going to drop out and learn by doing it. In the meantime, while I was at the high school, I was working on some projects, affiliate marketing sites, doing SEO to them, making some money out of them. This gave me some visibility in the local industry here, and was hired by an SEO agency which was working with the German market mostly. Spent a couple of months over there, got some great experience, started as a link builder. After that, I felt like my abilities, and what I could do and work on was limited to the scope of work and the project that we had at the agency. So decided to quit and start working as a freelancer. My very first client that I got had this classified websites, and we did some great work together. And I liked his approach of work. He liked my abilities, and we thought, let's start something together. And Manaferra was born. So my very first client is also my current business partner,
That's
and
amazing.
this was very, very, very interesting on how the whole thing happened. Uh, so yeah, later on I decided to get my bachelor's degree, uh, and I actually got it, but it's not like it helps you. That's my I don't have like this. We work with higher education. We help those universities and colleges build that visibility, get those rankings, get leads and traffic and students to enroll. But me personally, I have my doubts on the product itself. So I think that in today's world where everything is online, all these amazing academies, workshops, conferences, courses that you can buy or get them for free are much more helpful to go quicker to where you want to go. The main thing is knowing where you want to go. And once you have that information, then you have the resources online that can be found that will show you the road.
I think you hit it right on the nail because ultimately, with technology, with the advancements that has been made the last 10 to 15 years, where everything's digitalized, right? Where
Yes.
boundaries are no longer, where you had to go learn at a physical location with a
Yeah.
professor that you expected them to be the expert, right? Someone that actually knew their stuff. Now there's so much information at real time speed, affordability in your convenience, right? And therefore, if people are willing to step outside the box like what you did
Yeah.
and venture it off, there's a lot more ability for you to earn a lot, expedite time, and
Yeah.
not be restricted to a bachelor degree or MBA or HBO, whatever it is, like different
Exactly.
executive designations. However, that's a whole industry itself, right? People want to purchase and go into these institutions, higher education, for the experience, right? Where they want to live and meet people, the social aspect. And
Yeah.
I think that dimension is still valid, but in terms of education, in terms of advancements, in terms of your career, I think with technology, there's so many other ways to expedite it. And
Yeah.
I always hear this where people, business owners or whatnot, they always say, you could either go to school or you go and learn the trade yourself or
Yeah.
work under someone that's been doing it. And you're going to save so much more time, make way more money, and speed up, your experience and your expertise so much
Yeah.
quicker, which is absolutely true now that we're, business owners ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We get it. So
So I totally agree with your thinking here, and I also think that it depends on what you're planning on studying, because there are some fields where going to the university, getting that degree is a must. I don't want my doctor to learn the trade by googling stuff. I want them to have medical degrees, and there are lots of other professions that you must have. But if you're planning to work on the digital economy and lots of like universities can't keep up with the pace of changes and evolution that happen in digital marketing. By the time they build a curriculum, things have already changed.
yeah.
So you have to take these things into consideration as well, what you're trying to study. Then there are also some other aspects where the networking effects of going to these universities are enormous. You can meet your next business partner over there. You can meet somebody who after 5 years, 10 years is going to help you close that amazing deal that's going to send you from point A to point B as a company. So yeah, there are lots of variables that have to be taken into consideration.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you mentioned that you did a lot of freelance work. And a lot of people don't understand that whole economy itself because
Yeah.
in the digital world, it's all about like finding good people for your project. And people will
Exactly.
pay or do it as long as you set it out there, and there's tons of sites out there. I used to use Upwork and Freelancer, and I'm sure there's way more today than when I started, hiring people
Yeah,
5, 6 years ago or whatnot. But yeah, like it allows you to have a larger pool of potential people doing at an affordable price for your business, right? So it allows you
yeah,
to cultivate good experience, well developed, freelancers that will do it per job or per hour or whatever you set it, right?
exactly.
But people don't understand that whole space, right? So can you dive in a little bit about how you got into it? How did you learn about it in the first place? Did you have people that knew about doing some side gigs and side hustles, or?
So it helped being part of a community. It used to be called webmaster.al. So AL stands for the Albanian domain. And back in the time where everything was simpler, like you didn't have all these names for, you had one name, like I was a webmaster. If I worked managing a website, doing either marketing, publishing content, and building the website itself, you were called a webmaster. So that community had all these aspects, and I learned a lot from that community and met some great friends with whom I still work together to this day. And we got to learn from each other's experience in building those sites and getting the clients and doing the work and how you present yourself and how you can pitch yourself, your services, your sales. So just looking out for communities, because people are very open to mentoring you, to giving advices to you, to helping you out. You only have to ask. And that's the thing that the most people don't do it. They don't ask. They know that if they had this or they had this opportunity, or if they knew this fact, they would have done it, because it's not a rocket science, but they just didn't know. And they didn't know because they didn't ask, they didn't look for options, alternatives, etc. So being part of that community, some other communities as well, has helped tremendously in the career path that I follow to this day. And again, the other thing is, it's I didn't have that experience of the traditional freelance, of like getting out on all these Upwork, freelance.com, freelancer.com, and all other platforms. I was doing some freelance job and task and project to some local clients here in Kosovo, but mostly I was focusing to getting those skills, learning the trade of SEO and building those sites myself, creating the content, building the sites, optimizing those, getting those to rank, and monetizing those through affiliate marketing. And in a nutshell, I was a client to myself. So basically, did all this work to support myself.
That's amazing to hear. Like, I guess you had your own desires, and you were a go-getter in the first place, right? You were passionate to want to figure things out, right? And you took action. I think that's the one thing a lot of entrepreneurs don't do more of, like ask questions, find mentors, find people that are within a community that will support you, right? And
Yeah.
it sounds like early days, and maybe I can ask you, like, was this something that you always wanted to do growing up, or did your parents push you to kind of be more entrepreneurial? Like, how did you choose this career path?
So I always knew that I wanted to get into the entrepreneurship.
Okay.
I didn't always knew that it's going to be something related to the internet. So like 10 years ago, it's not like everybody knew the things that we knew today and we take for granted today. So things have moved and evolved quite a lot for the past decade. So 10 years ago, if you decided that your career or your future is going to be something related to the internet, that wasn't something that was 100% certain, at least for where we were, where I actually live here in Kosovo. So I knew that I wanted to be into the entrepreneurship. I always wanted to build a business that builds and creates something that is physical, that you can touch it, that you can feel it. I haven't done that yet. I plan on doing that in the future, because I think that if you build a business that creates something physical, like I don't know, I just want to give it a try. But I realized early on that I was lucky to be passionate about something as new as exciting, and with the potential that it has as internet marketing, digital marketing in general, and the whole digital industry. So I knew that I was lucky to get to learn those skills very quickly. And I also knew that the competition that used to be at the time is not going to be the same, because over time all the people will start migrating to doing all these digital related tasks and activities and building the presence there. So if you can get early, uh, you have that advantage of being a first mover in almost anything that you want to achieve, be
That's
that creating
amazing,
an
man.
agency, be that building some website assets and promoting those, be that building a company, whatever.
That's amazing. Because I don't know if I told you, but I worked in performance online marketing as well. So the affiliate world, dealing with, we were like a CJ, right? Commission
Yeah,
junction. And where we took on vendors. I was a biz dev manager for a little bit. I didn't
yeah,
really enjoy that space actually because, the type of people in it, I was
exactly.
working with a lot of big companies and all they care about was like acquiring new customers and they would do
Yeah,
anything. And you saw a lot of stuff that you're like, I don't really support and would not even do for
exactly.
myself. So I didn't stay there long. I think it was only 6 months I stayed there, but it opened my eye to the world of what it potentially can be. And,
Yeah,
if done properly, the way I want it to be, ethically, right? So there's good and pros and cons to everything.
totally. I the affiliate marketing part of my story and experience so far was very early in the beginning, and it was, I got into that because you were building these assets and you were interested in trying to monetize those, and this was one of the most efficient ways. But because I knew that through affiliate marketing you could monetize and generate revenue, I also had to learn a way of generating the traffic that's going to
Yeah.
get those people to convert and click and buy and all these things. And that got me into SEO. So I'm grateful for that, because once I got into SEO, one of the things that I value the most about the work that I do on a daily basis is the amount of different ranges of industries and clients and projects and challenges that you have to deal with on daily basis. And that is something that motivates me to do the work, to get up in the morning and to achieve results for the clients. So while I totally agree with you on the affiliate marketing part and how it used to be, I think it's gotten better. I am not active anymore for the past like 6 7 years. Haven't been much active in that area, but I think it's gotten a bit better. But in the beginning, it was very ugly. Like it was.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now, I mean, in terms of like, do, did your parents push you or strive you, or was there people like supported you throughout this time? Like you mentioned, you kind of left your college degree, your
Yeah,
bachelor's degree, to do some work, right? Like,
yeah.
why did you go back to the schooling part? If
So here's the thing. I got support from the family and parents in terms that they allowed me to get started.
okay,
But it's not like they understood what I was doing in the first
uh,
place, because it was very new and a very weird concept to them that you could even work in a computer online. Like they were used to using computers as a communication tool, but not as a tool that you could do work on it and also you could get a job on it, etc. In terms of the degree, it wasn't that hard for them to accept the reality, because my older brother, he was lucky or unlucky. Like he actually finished his bachelor master degree, but the situation in where we live right now is that it's hard to find a job,
mm,
and he wasn't very he wasn't being able to get the job with the degrees and all the schools that he's done, and realize that, okay, like he followed the traditional path, and it looks like it's not working like it used to work. So while we can see that you're working, you have been self-employed for quite some time, and you worked at other companies, and you have no degree at all, you might be onto something that we still don't understand, but we are going to support you on that nevertheless.
Yeah. No, and I think that's one thing that a lot of parents have to understand in today's world, right? Like traditionally, you go get a college university degree and
Yes,
you eventually reside at a long time employer, right?
yes,
And they're gonna support you for years, decades, and you get pension and all that stuff. In today's world, right, where things change and move so quickly, and not only that, it's like, what are the professions and degrees that are popular today are no longer popular back then, right? Like people used to
yeah,
get social science arts degree for publishing, like writing, right? But
yeah,
today, like how important is it? And versus like an engineering or a finance or a business degree, right? Like these are always going to be the most sought after degrees, right? Because you need
yeah,
that for infrastructure and you need
yeah.
that
And
to
that
support the
is
economy.
that is for the moment, because while social degrees used to be popular, then they are not that much these days, because like how the world has evolved, and what the like we have all these students with social degrees who are not doing the profession for which they graduated, but then we have a gap, and we have unfilled positions of programmers, developers, all these positions that require computer science, math, and all these other degrees as well. But you can argue that in 20, 30 years, or let's say 50 years, the the table is going to turn, and we are going social degrees are going to be sought as well, more, because you will have artificial intelligence probably doing all this kind of stuff, that you won't need any more computer science to build websites, or to build mobile apps, or to build all these things that you need these to do today. And then people will have all the time at their disposal to do some creative stuff for which social degrees can help. So I think the learning here is to research what's happening now, what the state of the world is right now, and what are some predictions where the state of the world is going to be 10, 15 years from now. Learning to get the skills that make you adapt very fast, in terms of, while you are getting this degree, don't go with the assumption that this is the only work that you're going to do for the rest of your work, but get those skills that allow you to be flexible, to adapt quickly, and be always interested in knowing what's happening in the world, and how you can fit in, and utilize, and benefit from those changes, instead of getting harmed from the changes.
Yeah, I think you mentioned some good points here, because it's all about, like, as entrepreneurs, we're always looking and being able to pivot and always trying to educate and re-educate and look forward to what is the next opportunity or next big thing, or what are the trends like. But
Yeah,
because we're in the space, SEO, we're constantly reading, right? Not a lot
exactly.
of people would read as much as we do.
Yeah,
Because we have to stay on top of what's going on, not just on search, but every single platform, every single
exactly.
signal where anyone who is looking for a product or service, we need to figure out what's that journey look like, right? So it's
Exactly.
just interesting because we're unique, I feel.
This is one of the things I love the most about SEO. Like, you build all these amazing research skills. Like, you can get expert in an industry, or in a not kind of not kind of expert level, but like, you can learn very quickly the information you need to really understand what's happening. And also, like, all these readings, like, this is a skill that you build, and this is going to be useful for a long, long time in all areas of our lives. So yeah, this is something that if you're not good at it, you're going to struggle in SEO. But if you enjoy it, you're going to do amazing.
Well, and I think you have to enjoy it or else you wouldn't be wanting to do this, right? Like you have
Yeah.
to be a constant learner and you gotta constantly make mistakes and try things and test it. But it's not for everyone, for sure. So I wanted to ask you, so did you have any like mentors or people that you kind of looked up to growing up or even throughout this journey of starting your business that you can really think of that really helped you become who you are today?
So not exactly. I try to get inspired by the work of the organization itself,
Okay.
not the individuals, and trying to learn what one person or it usually it's not just one person. It usually is a group of person of talented people who came together and worked together to build something amazing. So I always try to find these role models in terms of companies and organizations and try to learn their approach, their philosophy, what they did that allowed them to build a very successful company that delivers value to its customers. So I don't have someone specific, but I always try to, and these agencies and organizations and companies change all the time based on where I am with the business at the moment. So 2 or 3 years ago, we were smaller, 6-person agency, so you wouldn't look to thousands agencies with thousands of employees. We've grown to 20 in the last 2.5 years, and now you start to look at some agencies that okay, when they went from 5 or 6 to 20 employees, what did they do to go to 50 to 100 to 200? And then you start to learn some other stuff that you didn't get to see or read before because you weren't looking at those examples or those similar agencies.
No, and it's good, right? Because you're looking at evolution, right? How is a true leader going to evolve, right? How do you take care of your
Yeah,
staff? How do you actually embrace them and possess these leadership roles and assets? And then you focus on processes, right? Where
yeah,
you want to streamline and make sure that it's efficient and whatnot. So in terms of like challenges, because obviously from hearing how you kind of started this agency and how you grew it, and you basically fired all your clients. Like, what was that pivotal moment? Why did you change, and what made you want to get into larger ticket or
yeah.
US based clients?
So the main issue, and that brings them to the following point that I'm going to talk about. The main issue is that we weren't finding people with SEO skills to do the work. So
Mm,
we were limited because, as I mentioned, Kosovo is a small country, 1.7 million people, and SEO is an unknown concept to
mm.
the majority of even people who work in the digital industry. So we were struggling to find talented people that we could hire, and so we could deliver more work because the one of the I would say cons of working in an agency is that while you can scale the number of projects, the clients that you take over, you will also have to scale the number of people who work on those projects because basically you're selling hours to deliver that work, and you need people to do those deliverables to do that work. So the reason why we fired all the clients that we had local clients is that we were better off and could charge more and have better margins if we were getting clients in the States or UK than in Kosovo because it's we were doing the same work. It was taking us the same time to deliver those deliverables, to get those results, and we could charge 10, 5 times, 10 times more in the States and still be a very affordable option in the States compared to what we were charging in Kosovo. So that was one thing. The next thing that was a very challenging thing was, okay, so we have these colleagues with whom we work for some time, but how do we scale? Like we were getting clients, we were doing some great work, getting these results, building those case studies, people referring new business to us. Now the issue is that if we are going to be successful, we have to figure out a way of how we can, if there are no people with the skills, how we can create those people. And here comes the processes, SOPs, templates, and all these things that have been transformative to the business of our agency, in terms of we were able to get, we would open this paid internship program, and we had two main criteria. One, it was like they had to be eager to learn. This thing that we talked about, continuously wanting to improve themselves, continuously wanting to learn, love facing challenges, all these things that SEO provides you in daily basis. And the other thing was they had to know English very well, because we are in Kosovo, the native language is Albanian, but that wasn't a problem because the majority of population, over 70% of population in Kosovo is under 30. So it's a huge young population. And the majority of them have been raised watching movies and listening to US music and pop culture. So English wasn't the problem, but that was in the job ad as well. And then we would go and have all these thorough interviews to find the right ones. And the paid internship program would be from 3 to 6 months. And we said in the beginning that if we can hire just one of these applicants that we got into the internship, and there were 6 of them, we would consider the whole program as successful, because we got one new person, and we hadn't had one new person hired that was very skillful in SEO for quite some time. What ended up happening is that we hired 6 of them. The SOPs, all the work that we had done on SOPs, templates, documentation, proved to be so helpful in getting them to learn very quickly on doing work that we could deliver to the clients, and we could charge for that work. And so far we had 3 of these paid internship programs. The majority of the team that's working at our agency have gone through our internship program, and now our specialists and senior specialists in SEO, content, and pay-per-click. And it has been very successful. If we haven't done that, if we haven't figured out this approach, this model, I don't think that we would have been able to grow to where we are now and have the ambitions that we currently have and where we want to be in the next 2 to 3 years.
That's amazing. I mean, you know, your evolution, your SOP, the way you think in terms of like trying to standardize processes, right? That's how a leader, when you're looking at scaling and growing your, you know, agency, that's what you have to do, right?
Exactly.
Because if you are still doing the same process and it takes you the same amount of time, you need to shrink time so that people become way more efficient, grow and get more clients, so that you have a standard process in place. What are some of the biggest mistakes or challenges that you've faced over the last couple of years that you can think of that maybe you could have, you know, maybe not have done if you tried to do things all over again?
Yeah, saying yes a lot. Like this was like focus wasn't something that we were very good at the beginning, and we are still improving in that area. So as I mentioned, we started as a digital marketing agency, and I mentioned that we would do everything. We would do SEO and content for our client, and they would say, hey guys, can you do something with this email marketing thing? And we would say like, yes, we can. Like, because we were very eager to get new business and to grow as an agency, and we will learn how to do that and do that quite good actually. And this then resulted with us offering a lot of stuff and not being amazing on almost none of them. And focus has been our North Star in terms of when we fire the clients and we remove the majority of services, our agency tripled in revenues. Late last year, we also removed web development. So now we are only doing SEO and a bit of pay-per-click, but SEO is our bread and butter. That's something that we are quite good at. We are comfortable taking projects of big scale and delivering results for clients. So, and just in the last 6 months, even with the pandemic, we've grown almost 100% compared to year over year, compared to last year. So less is more in terms of, as an agency, you can get tricked into offering this and offering that because you want to deliver for your client, you want to help them, and you feel like helping them, but in the long term, you are harming yourself, and the client is not going to benefit as much as they would have benefited if they went with someone who is specialized at the thing that you said that you are going to take care of because you were nice and wanted to help them out. So focus is something that we mistakenly didn't think of it much, but since we have started thinking on it and taken all these actions that I just mentioned, we've seen tremendous benefits as an agency.
That's awesome, man, to hear. And I loved how you put it, because even myself, I think right off the bat, I did focus just on SEO. I didn't take any on any other projects. Like, yeah, we did some web dev jobs, and but we really focused on local SEO. We knew our bread and butter, and that's all we focus on. Yeah, you get pitched a lot of PPC, you get pitched a lot of social, you get pitched a lot of like content and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I just turned them down. I said, look, we specialize, and if you want us, this is what we do. These are our, terms. And at least people know, in terms of when you want SEO, they'll come to you. But if they want like a variety of everything, then go somewhere else, right? And it's okay to say no and let them know that you specialize and you get the best results if you specialize and know that. And I look at like home improvement people, right? Like you think about a plumber, can they do flooring? Can they do roofing as good as someone that's specialized? So that's how I always look at it, and I pitch, right? Because I worked at Yellow Pages, and I let people know, like, would you hire a roofer for someone that only does plumbing? Like, yeah, they're generalists, but they're not going to do it the best way. And they're probably charging you a little bit less, but who cares, right? You got to fix it in a year or two because they're not experts at it. They
Long
don't do
term, it's going to cost you more. And also, when you say no to the client, they're going to respect you for that. They're going to respect you for the honesty and being straightforward with them, and take you more seriously, because not a lot of people have the courage maybe to say no, because for different various reasons, and for that reason I say that this has been like amazing decision for ourselves. What happened is that we had this amazing talented dev team that now works in-house for our own needs, and we are building our own projects and tools and proprietary software that before we didn't have the
bandwidth to do it all.
Bandwidth, because when this all the work that we're currently doing is an investment, but it's paying off multiple times. But in the past, the logic would be like, okay, but your projects aren't being currently monetized, and you have a chance to bill a tower immediately. So let's bill a tower. Let's send that invoice, and it's amazing. We have some ongoing projects from the previous clients with whom we had, and we still have commitments to help them on dev work, but we haven't been getting any new dev work since January 2020, and it has been amazing. Focus is something
that's awesome to hear.
That should be a very important aspect for agency owners.
I think a lot of people get so caught up by chasing every job they can get when they're starting off, which I get, because it's all about building a portfolio, building like case studies, building a reputation in the industry. So early days, I get it, right? Like it's feast or famine. You need to support yourself, your staff, your overhead costs. I get it. But then when you get to a good point in your career or business, you then have that option to decide where you want to pivot. Do you want to niche down, specialize? And the sooner you're able to do that focus, the better off you'll be, because then in the industry or business owners, they'll know you for certain things. and that's all you care about. You want to provide them the best service for, the niche down or whatever it is, and you are the expert then, right?
Exactly. So one thing that kind of uh, forced us to go for so long is that, again, we are based in Southeastern Europe, which is quite far from US, where majority of our clients are. So it's not that easy for us to get in front of the clients and gain their trust, because they're used to thinking, okay, outsourcing to India, outsourcing to Philippines, outsourcing to Southern Eastern Europe. That is, like, Eastern Europe is becoming a hub of outsourcing lately. So when they think of outsourcing, they think of getting the job done at a cheaper price, and probably not the best quality, but something that you can pass by, something that you can be okay, that is okay. And that's not okay with SEO, because SEO is very more sensitive. And for us, we kind of were forced from the beginning, once we had the chance of proving ourselves in front of international clients like in US and UK, we wanted to make sure that we are over delivering. 110% of our efforts went into making sure that the objectives were achieved, the work was amazing, that they loved us, because that was the way that we got new business. They would refer us to other clients, and then those clients would refer us to other clients, and this is how we could grow. So for that reason, it from our perspective, it wasn't an easy decision to remove services for which you had active projects and clients willing to pay and were happy with what they were getting. So, but we realized that midterm and long term, that's going to harm us. So let's maybe suffer a bit, which didn't happen, so we can get those gains in the mid and long term.
Amazing. How did you get into the US market, by the way? Or because if you're centrally and a majority of your clients were local, like,
Yeah.
how did you get your footing into the US and Europe and other parts of the world?
So, funny story is that 1.7 million Albanians live in Kosovo, but more than 1.7 million Albanians from Kosovo live in the United States,
Oh,
Switzerland,
okay, so you have
Germany, so
connections in.
the
Okay.
diaspora. So all those people who are Albanians, and they went 3, 4, 5 decades ago with their families to live in the States
Of
or in
course.
UK, Switzerland, uh, they would get the education and get proper jobs, but they have this pride of being Albanians and wanted to work with Albanians. So some of them
Support each
would
other.
Google if there are agencies in Kosovo who do SEO, because look, I have a business, or I work for this business that needs SEO. I'm the decision maker. Let's see if I can find a business in Kosovo who can do this, because they are going to be probably cheaper and more affordable. And second, I'm going to help people in my native country. So it would be a
Gotcha.
win-win for them. And those were the first, and still, like, about 50% of our new clients come from Albanians who live abroad and want to work with agencies back home.
That's amazing. Well, it's
Yeah.
positioning yourself, right? And I think loyalty, and I think it's the culture too, right? People understand the work ethic of their own people, right? And I
Yeah.
love to hear that, people want to support each other as well. And it's all about like that group mentality, that, community, right? And if you're able to portray yourself as an ethical, hardworking, proven, good track record company, I want to support my own client or people. People
Exactly.
always do that, right? So it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. Um, I just have a couple last questions. I know you're we booked only an hour, so I want to respect your time as well. So in terms of like technology, right? I know things have kind of advanced so quickly as a webmaster, someone in the SEO industry. How have you felt like changing tools and software, like, because we always have to see what's out there and quickly
Yeah.
adapt, right, as an
Yeah.
SEO agency? What have you noticed the last couple of years? Because as much as Google is always doing what they got to do with the
Yeah.
algorithm, you always have to adapt and ensure that your clients are doing well as well. So are there tools and advancements that you really are core and stuck with, versus like how do you test things? How do you go
Yeah.
about deciding what are your stack gonna look like in the near future, 6 months or a year?
Yeah. So there are two sides to this answer. One is we talked how defining processes, templates, documentation has helped us not only train the people to be more efficient and deliver higher quality work to the clients, but with that comes also a lot of research that we've done on defining those deliverables, defining, documenting all these processes, and finding areas where we could improve. So for the past 6 months, and also before that, but not with the pace that we are doing right now, we've invested heavily in building proprietary software that allows us to be more efficient in different parts of the services, in different services that we offer for our clients. And majority of our tools and software that we built has gone through link building, especially prospecting and outreach, and automating a lot of stuff in that area, because that is a very, very time intensive task that has to be performed to get the results. In terms of what's out there in the market, I think that there are great tools and new tools are launching every day. I try to avoid trying them out, all of them, because then I wouldn't have time to do the work. But basically, being part of these communities like Traffic Think Tank that we mentioned in the beginning, and other communities allows you to see, okay, what's something that's being mentioned the most frequently? Okay, so it's this or that software. Let's give that a try next week or next month. So you have tools for which you can't replicate, like you can't replicate Ahrefs, the amount of data that they have, the amount of infrastructure that they built to get those data. That's not something that you can replicate with an in-house team of 4 devs. And also, like, you don't want to reinvent the same thing just because you can build something similar and that thing be your own thing. You don't want to do that. You want to build stuff that are going to give you an advantage as an agency, are going to add value to your agency, because down the line you don't know what's going to happen. Somebody might be interested in investing in you or buying you, and all this proprietary technology and assets that you build over time, they're going to increase the value of the agency itself. So just being like, we talked about how we have to read a lot to keep up with the industry, with the changes. It's the same with the tools and platforms. We have this specific task that includes some of the tools like Ahrefs, Buzzstream for doing outreach. We are trying out PitchBox, Hunter, Screaming Frog Log Analyzer, Content King app, others as well that can't think of them as this moment, but we try to keep it simple, because in the end, no tool is going to replace the knowledge of a person and its experience to see, okay, this is the business and this is what they're trying to achieve. The tools and platforms gives you the data to reinforce your thinking, or like to find something else, but you have to do the math and kind of just go get the conclusions and then send a recommendation to the client and help with implementation.
Yeah, no, I totally get where you're coming from, because with being an agency myself, it's like, it's kind of overwhelming sometimes, and the stack will always change, but you always have to see what's out there. And only when things aren't going well will you actually look at it, but you should always revisit it every 6 months or a year, because there might be better tools, better updates, better, whatever it is to automate or to save you some more time, right? Make you way more efficient.
Here's one thing that we recently did. We got certified with ISO 9001 last year, and ISO is not, especially ISO 9001 is not a standard that you see a lot of search marketing agencies or digital marketing agencies get certified with. But we found value because it is a lot, it builds, it forces you into documenting stuff, into building those processes, into being more efficient, into taking care of the quality. And one aspect of that is we are forced by the standard itself, not forced, but like we are required by the standard itself to at least once a month, once a year, review all the tools and platforms that we pay for and compare each one of these tools and platforms to at least 3 other tools and document that. It's a pain to do that, but you find out that, okay, I'm paying maybe a bit too much for this tool and they can add up very quickly. And or here's a free alternative, or maybe I've been paying for this tool for the past 2 years, but have been barely using it. So all these things that standard has helped us. You don't need the standard to do that, but like this has been a revelation and a good thing that came out of our certification with that ISO 9001 standard.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'll look into it as well because yeah, it's all about like checking out the competitive analysis on tools, even not just
Yeah.
what's going on in your marketplace, right?
Yeah.
So just the last couple questions in terms of like what really motivates you today, because it seems like things are going well in terms of your business. Where do you see yourself in the next 3 or 5 years? What are some of the things that drive you today than maybe 5 years ago?
So we just registered our business in the States this past February. That was a huge milestone for us, being a business started in Kosovo and registering, and we are looking into office space, but then the pandemic happened. So we have 2 team members working in the States and helping us with expansion, helping us with delivering clients over there. So in the 3 to 5 years, we plan to expand quite a lot in the States, and after that also go after the DACH market. So Germany, Austria, and Switzerland is another area here in Europe where we see a lot of potential. UK as well. So these are the geographic areas where we think that we can compete, because being in Kosovo, we have this advantage of being more affordable, not cheaper, not lower quality, but great quality at affordable prices. What motivates me is just seeing this whole thing grow, like just grow. The team grows, our own work with different projects and the challenges that come with those projects, and having to learn new stuff to deliver on the commitments that we have for the client, helping them grow. Those are some things that motivates me to get up in the morning and enjoy the work that we do.
No, that's awesome. And then besides work, is there anything else like in terms of your pillars? Family, relationships, your community, impact, like because I know we've only been talking about your business and work, but these other pillars are very important in everyone's life.
Totally. I try to separate work and work activities and non-work activities. It's hard, not always achievable. We have a culture of being very connected to the family and friends, and I try to keep that, and you have to invest in doing that,
Of course.
and in keeping those relationships healthy. And I think it's healthy from a business perspective as well, because if you're not having a great time in that other side, you're not going to be enjoying this other side as well. So that is something that it has its place and it has its priority in my day-to-day life. Another thing is trying to give back to the community. I know that there are lots of talented young people here in Kosovo, eager to learn, eager to have their opportunities, but they don't have the knowledge that these things exist. They don't have the knowledge that they can learn these professions and get started and either employ themselves or find work as a freelancer, or just getting into this digital economy. So I've been working with some NGOs here, and 3 to 4 times a year I do workshops for different NGOs and going to high schools and talking. Like there is this Junior Geeks is a campaign that has started, a project that has started recently from Innovation Standard Kosovo, which is an organization here that works with startups. And what we do there is that we different people from different industries, like game development or app development or artificial intelligence or Bitcoin and actual blockchain and the cryptocurrencies, they go and do talks on all these topics. So young people who doesn't have this material in their curriculum, they get introduced to these amazing, exciting fields with lots of opportunities. So that is something else that I try to keep myself engaged on. So basically that would be it.
No, that's awesome to hear because getting in front of the community, making an impact to the locals or people that are inspiring to look up to you, right? Because
Yeah,
now you're an entrepreneur, business owner, they see you as that someone they want to strive to become, right? So
yeah,
being able to support them and give them more, I guess, equip them with knowledge and information
yeah.
the best way you can. That's awesome to hear. So thanks a lot. I really appreciate your time, Granit. So how can some of our listeners get a hold of you, your business, and reach out to you directly?
So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Trying to be more active over there. On Twitter, I have a personal blog. It's in Albanian. I don't update it very often, but they can visit our website manaferra.com. We are actually launching a new design, like we are redesigning and building a new website. It should be done by the end of this month or early next month. Lots of new content being produced for that site as well. So follow us on Instagram as an agency. We post some cool stuff over there. So all this work.
That's awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Granite. All the show notes will be there, all your contact information on the podcast listing.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate your time. I hopefully everyone got some value there because it's all about great people, entrepreneurs that are sharing a lot of insight. So thanks a
Loved
lot.
it. Loved it, the whole experience and talking to you. And again, thanks for inviting and having me, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.